I woke up inside a novel, reborn as the first disciple of a powerful sect. My fiancée was kneeling on the floor, begging me to dig out my sovereign bone and give it to my junior. Caleb, your talent is supreme, she pleaded. You could become a legend, even without the sovereign bone. But Aiden is different. He's suffered so much, and he just wants to be strong. If you give him the bone, I'll do anything you ask. Ding. Synergy system activated. Initial synergy with a special physique will increase cultivation speed by 10,000x. I looked at the celestial beauty before me. The system informed me she possessed a rare umbral anima physique. My eyes lit up. She was a perfect catalyst for my training. All right, I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. It's just a bone, but whether you get it depends on how proactive you are. That night, my fiancée climbed into my bed with tears in her eyes. I kept my end of the bargain. I took a dog's bone, polished it to look just like a sovereign bone, carved it with ancient runes, and had it implanted into Aiden's body. Then, I arranged for him to accidentally discover a cultivation manual the system had given me, a special edition of the Blade of Sacrifice. Just as I planned, Aiden's power skyrocketed in a short time. He also started holding his hand with an effeminate grace. Finally, after breaking through to the adept stage, Aiden pointed a sword at my face. First disciple, you stole my beloved Lila and the affection of our master. Today, I will cut you to pieces. What he didn't know was that, thanks to my synergy system, I'd already reached Grand Ascension. The moment I arrived in this world, the system followed. Ding! Congratulations, host, on successfully binding to the God-tier synergy system. Initial synergy with a special physique will increase cultivation speed by 10,000x. Would you like to open the beginner's gift package? Yes. Congratulations, host. You have obtained the Chaos Dao Physique, the Emperor Tier Technique Imperial Yin-Yang Sutra, the Cultivator's Edition of the Blade of Sacrifice, and one Chaos Divine Sword. What the hell? Why would a synergy system give me the Blade of Sacrifice? According to a system search, there were only 2 prime cultivation crucibles in the entire Celestial Balance sect. One was my master, Ilera. The other was my fiancée, Lila. Remembering the original novel's plot, I knew I was in trouble. Tonight was the night Aiden was supposed to have his first session with our master. I couldn't let that little manipulator get his hands on such a prime catalyst. I raced to Master Ilera's courtyard. I arrived just in time to see Aiden furtively adding some kind of powder to her dinner. In the original book, this little snake was the protagonist, the so-called Son of Destiny. He used his plot armor and an arsenal of manipulative tricks to frame the original Caleb, stealing everyone's affection. He had successfully won the hearts of both his fiancée and their master. At his wedding to the master, Aiden staged an attack on himself, making it look like the original Caleb had done it. Consumed by rage, Master Ilera drove her sword through her first disciple's heart. Caleb, Aiden is so kind. Why must you torment him again and again? She had screamed. Today, I will cleanse our sect. I want you dead. With the original Caleb impaled on her sword, she dug out his sovereign bone while he was still alive and gave it to Aiden. The original died, full of hatred, killed by the master he respected most. Since I'm the one here now, I think I'll collect on that debt with interest. After an acolyte delivered the meal, Aiden hid in a corner, his eyes gleaming with a sleazy greed. Haha, once I have the master, who in this sect will dare to oppose me? That damned first disciple. Why should he have the best talent? Why does he get all the best resources? I crept up behind him and knocked him out with a single chop to the neck. Just as I was about to permanently relieve him of his manhood, a golden light, the aegis of fate, shielded him completely. My attacks couldn't get through. I cursed under my breath. Figures. He's the Son of Destiny, protected by the world itself. I'll have to drain his luck bit by bit. I waited outside for another 15 minutes. Soon, I heard the sound of a teacup shattering inside. My heart leaped. I slipped into the room. Master Ilera's private chambers were filled with the faint, clean scent of snow blossoms. I moved past the screen and saw her lying on the bed. Master Ilera was an ethereal beauty, like a goddess descended to the mortal plane, and she possessed a divine phoenix physique. Normally, she was aloof and untouchable. But now, her hair was in disarray, a few strands of black silk clinging to her lips, giving her a heart-stoppingly seductive look. On the floor lay the shattered remains of a white jade teacup. Master, I whispered tentatively. She murmured something and suddenly threw herself into my arms. Her skin was like snow, her body soft and pliant. I'm so hot. Her breathy voice whispered in my ear. I looked down and met her hazy, mesmerizing eyes. Her breath was a fragrant orchid as her soft red lips trailed kisses along my neck. Her small, jade-like hands began frantically tearing at my clothes. I deliberately pushed her away, shaking her gently. "Master, wake up. It's me, Caleb." I had to play my part. If I didn't, she'd deny everything in the morning, and I'd be in mortal danger. I wasn't strong enough yet to be her opponent. Besides, every disciple in the sect has a soul lamp kept in the Hall of Souls. No matter where I ran, she could use that connection to find me. There was no escape. I had no desire to die at the hands of this woman right after arriving here. At the same time, I was shocked at the potency of Aiden's methods. To think that this drug could overwhelm even a transcendent stage master, the Son of Destiny, was no joke. A moment of clarity returned to my master's eyes. "See, Caleb, I'm so hot," she panted. "Someone poisoned me. This stuff is powerful. If I don't find a release, I think my core will self-destruct. Good disciple, help me. I promise I won't blame you." She was clearly lucid when she said that. Since she'd laid it all out, I wasn't going to be polite. The battle that night was fierce. We didn't stop until dawn was breaking. All night, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth swirled madly, converging on the room. My cultivation, which was originally only at the adept stage, shot up to the master stage in a single night. Man, it feels good to cheat. Just then, a weak voice called from outside the door. "Master, are you in there?" I'm coming in." Before the words had even faded, Aiden shoved the door open. The gorgeous master in my arms panicked. She quickly pulled the blanket over her nearly naked body. When Aiden saw the scene, his eyes bulged with fury. He let out a choked cry, coughed up a mouthful of blood, and fled as if he'd seen a ghost. A notification immediately sounded in my mind. Ding! Son of Destiny's fate value -10,000. Remaining fate value 40,000. Host villain value +10,000. My master's face was a mask of panic. "Aiden, you misunderstood. It's not what it looks like. Let me explain." She gave me a complicated look, quickly threw on her clothes, and chased after him. After placating Aiden, the first thing Master Alara did was investigate last night's meal. She learned from the acolyte that besides himself, only Aiden had touched the food. Her feelings became even more tangled. In a fit of humiliated rage, she struck the acolyte dead with a single palm strike. For the next while, I stayed in my own enclave, cultivating in seclusion to stabilize my new power. Rumors about the master and Aiden spread like wildfire through the sect. To win back Aiden's favor, Alara had a luxurious palace built just for him. She even assigned a dozen acolytes to serve him and him alone. The single, annual spot for a core disciple to temper their body in the WYRM's font. Alara skipped over a dozen other senior disciples and gave it to Aiden ahead of schedule. The celestial spirit fruit, normally reserved for elders. Alara broke the sect's rules and gave Aiden 3 of them at once. For a time, Aiden's status in the sect was unmatched. One day, I had just collected my monthly cultivation resources from the Ethereum Spire when I ran into Aiden. The unconcealed pride in his eyes was sickening. "First disciple, long time no see," he said with a smirk. "These past few days, the master has been taking me on excursions to lift my spirits. I'm afraid she's neglected you. It's all my fault." He feigned remorse, but his eyes were full of provocation. "I know the master used to dote on you exclusively. I'm not like you. I have a gambling-addicted father, a terminally ill mother, a younger brother to feed, a broken home." Just then, Master Alara and my fiancée, Lila, appeared in the distance, walking from the main hall. Aiden's eyes darted. He threw himself backwards off the steps of the spire. He hit the plaza with a loud thump, kicking up a cloud of dust. Alara and Lila became streaks of light, rushing over to him. They scrambled to help him up, their eyes filled with heartache. The master glared at me. "Caleb, what in the world are you doing?" Lila's eyes were full of disappointment. "Caleb, how could you push Aiden?" Tears immediately started streaming down Aiden's face. "Master, Lila, I'm fine. Caleb didn't do it on purpose. Please don't blame him." His words only made Alara and Lila ache for him more. Lila rushed to wipe away his tears. "Aiden, you're just too kind. That's why he's always bullying you." A powerful aura erupted from our master. The stone tiles around her began to crack. "Caleb, you have disappointed me beyond words," she seethed. "Apologize to Aiden this instant, or don't blame me for being merciless." "Huh, this woman forgets all about you once she pulls her clothes back on. What a tramp." I crossed my arms, holding my sword, and watched the drama with an amused smile. "Master, I didn't do a thing. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to have done wrong." Seeing my casual attitude, her fury intensified. Insolent disciple, you still dare to argue? Do you think we were blind just now? See what? I interrupted with a sneer, my fingers gently stroking the scabbard of my sword. Didn't you see that I was standing right here and didn't even move? Your precious Aiden threw himself down those stairs. Aiden flinched and buried himself deeper into our master's embrace. Master, Lila, please don't blame him. It was all my fault. You hear that? Lila snapped, turning on me with fury in her eyes while tenderly holding Aiden. He's still thinking of you, even now, as the first disciple. Do you have no sense of responsibility? I chuckled softly, my gaze landing on Master Alera. Master, do you remember 2 years ago when I first reached the adept stage? You gave me the Bodhi Clarity Pearl and told me that a cultivator must have a clear mind and a steady heart, and must never be swayed by hearsay. Her expression flickered, her anger subsiding slightly. Besides, I continued, I have a habit of carrying an echo crystal. The whole scene was recorded. Master, Sister Lila, why don't you take a look? The color drained from Aiden's face. And no, there's no need. I forgive Caleb. He didn't mean to do it. I ignored him and projected the crystal's recording into the air. The image clearly showed Aiden deliberately launching himself backward. It even captured the subtle motion of him pinching his own thigh as he hit the ground, forcing out tears. Every little trick was on full display. Lila's hand froze in midair. Master Alera's face grew uglier and uglier as she watched the projection. Ding! Son of Destiny's fate value -10, 000. Remaining fate value, 30, 000. Host's villain value +10, 000. Huh, how could I deal with a little manipulator like this without a recording? Aiden panicked. He dropped his knees, kowtowing and sobbing. Master, Lila, it's all my fault. I just love you both so much. I was so afraid Caleb would take you away from me. That's why I did it. I'm sorry, first disciple. It was all my fault. I watched him wail on the ground as I calmly put the echo crystal away. An interesting choice of words, Junior. Are our master and sister Lila objects to be taken away by someone? Seeing Aiden crying on the ground, Lila's heart softened. She shot me a venomous glare. Master, Aiden only did it because he cares about us so much. He made a mistake, but his reasons are understandable. Master Alera rushed to pull Aiden to his feet. Aiden, you worried for nothing. Don't be so foolish again. She then looked at me, a rare flicker of guilt in her eyes. She turned away, unable to meet my gaze. All right, Caleb, I was wrong to accuse you. You are the first disciple of this sect. You should be more magnanimous. Let's just drop the matter. Without waiting for my reply, she hurried away with the other two. I knew that getting rid of this conniving snake for good wouldn't be a simple task. I didn't press the issue. This would require a long-term strategy. In the original book, Aiden discovered the Celestial Balance sect's ultimate legacy in the 101st cave of the Forbidden Wilds. The Boundless Sword Intent and the Emperor Tier Sword Technique, Heaven's Gate Cleaver, left behind by the Celestial Balance Emperor himself. I couldn't let Aiden get his hands on such a prize. With that thought, I teleported into the Forbidden Wilds. Sure enough, in the 101st cave, after a thorough search assisted by the system, I found the inheritance and claimed it. In its place, I left the Cultivator's edition of the Blade of Sacrifice. For the next 3 days, I watched Aiden from the shadows. As expected, I saw him sneak into the Forbidden Wilds. When he emerged, he was holding the very manual I had planted. As he read the first page, the ecstatic look on his face froze. He grit his teeth, his fists clenched tightly. A moment later, a grim determination entered his eyes. He walked away without a second glance, as if he had made a terrible resolve. I continued to observe Aiden in secret. His demeanor became increasingly effeminate. His skin grew smoother, his voice higher, and even his Adam's apple seemed to shrink. On this continent, countless cultivators fought for a sliver of a chance at immortality. Many sacrificed precious things to achieve their goals. There was once a great master who, to achieve the Tao of heartlessness, personally slaughtered his entire clan. He still turned to ash under the lightning of his tribulation. How could Aiden possibly resist the allure of such a supreme technique? I watched him for months. He still hadn't even mastered the basics of the Blade of Sacrifice. His aptitude was truly pathetic. One night, my fiancée Lila came to visit me. She hesitated, wanted to speak, but unable to find the words, before finally steeling herself. Caleb, I have a request. For the sake of the years we grew up together, I hope you can grant it. Here it comes. Lila, the umbral anima, had been giving the original Caleb the cold shoulder ever since Aiden arrived. Now, she was finally serving herself up on a platter. It seems her love for Aiden is real after all. I was overjoyed, but my face remained a mask of calm concern. I quickly help her up. Lila, what are you saying? We are betrothed. There's no need for such formality. If there's something you need, just say it. Her eyes darted away, unable to meet mine. Caleb, can you give your sovereign bone to Aiden? I feigned a volcanic rage, smashing a nearby ironwood chair 1,000 years old into splinters with one palm strike. Lila, do you have any idea what that bone means to me? How could you say such a thing? You were just a little beggar on the street, nearly beaten to death for stealing food. I was the one who took pity on you, saved you, and brought you back to the sect. You'd be dead if it weren't for me. Who was it that supplied you with mountains of cultivation resources all these years? And now you want me to dig out my sovereign bone for Aiden? Lila stumbled back a step, terrified. The guilt in her eyes deepened, but she stubbornly lifted her head. Caleb, it's just, he's hit a wall in his cultivation. He's been so depressed these last few days, he's even talking about ending his life. His cultivation is stalled, so he wants to kill himself? What does that have to do with me? I sneered. Lila dropped to her knees with a thud, her eyes pleading. Caleb, how can you say that? How can you just abandon Aiden when his life is on the line? Your talent is supreme. You can reach the pinnacle even without the bone. But Aiden is different. He's suffered so much, and all he wants is to be strong. It's become his obsession. Without the sovereign bone, he'll die. Lila bowed low before me. If you give the sovereign bone to Aiden, I will do anything. Anything at all. She saw I wasn't responding and looked up. Caleb, if you give him the bone, I promise I will marry you immediately. I will spend the rest of my life repaying your kindness. Pretending to be unable to contain my fury, I stepped forward and grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at me. Lila, stop feeding me empty promises. Why wait for another day? If you want the bone, you can pay the price right now. It's just a bone, right? It all depends on how proactive you are. Lila's head snapped up, her eyes wide with disbelief, as if she couldn't fathom that I would say such a thing. She clenched her fists, silent tears streaming down her face. After a long moment, she seemed to come to a decision. She turned and walked toward my bedroom. Lila truly was one of the novel's heroines. Her beauty and figure were leagues beyond any celebrity I had known before this life. She was like a flawless work of art, but I had no intention of being gentle. The battle was intense. She finally fell into a deep sleep near dawn, tear tracks still visible on her cheeks. Ding! Son of Destiny's fate value -10,000. Remaining fate value 20,000. Host villain value +10,000. My cultivation surged again, jumping from the middle master stage directly to the early transcendent stage. Of course, I kept my word. I gave her the dog bone I had prepared long ago, fashioned to look exactly like a sovereign bone. It was disguised by the system. Not even Master Alera could tell it was a fake. The bone was sealed with a formation that stored a massive amount of spiritual energy. For a short time, it would indeed rapidly increase one's cultivation. But it was also tied to my own life force. I could detonate the fake bone at any time. Half a month later, at the sex tournament for new disciples, Aiden, empowered by the blade of sacrifice and the fake sovereign bone, was a shining star. He crushed all the other new disciples. Only the most talented among them, Marcus Kane, could match him. In the end, Aiden was struck in his core by Marcus's palm strike and sent stumbling back. But Marcus was hit again and again by Aiden's strange and unpredictable sword style. The final blow pierced Marcus Kane's heart. Marcus, the one most favored to win, was dead by Aiden's sword. Aiden stood proudly in the center of the arena, sword in his right hand, left hand held up with a delicate flourish, his gaze sweeping over the crowd with arrogant disdain. The entire arena erupted in an uproar, followed by a thunderous wave of applause. Everyone could see that Aiden had the master's favor and his star was rising. Now that he had won the tournament, he was untouchable. The sycophants were clapping their hands raw. On the high platform, Master Alera beamed with satisfaction. Lila was so emotional her eyes were red. A few of the elders frowned slightly at Aiden's viciousness, but given Master Alera's blatant favoritism, they didn't dare say anything. Aiden, flanked by Alera and Lila, walked straight toward me. Lila spoke first. Caleb, look how amazing Aiden is. He's been in the sect for such a short time, and already he's won the novice tournament. Your own cultivation has been stagnant for so long. You should really learn from him. Hearing her words, I let out a sharp laugh. You want me to learn from him? Should I learn his talent for framing others? Or how to steal someone's sovereign bone? Or perhaps his ruthlessness? My tone was calm, but dripping with sarcasm. The expressions on Master Alara and Lila's faces changed instantly. They both moved to stand in front of Aiden, glaring at me. Master Alara's voice was sharp. Caleb, what is that supposed to mean? Are you just jealous that Aiden is more outstanding than you? He won this title through his own hard work. If you can't be happy for him, you could at least not spread vicious lies. Tears immediately welled up in Aiden's eyes. Master Lila, it's all my fault. I'm not worthy of the first disciple's sovereign bone. I'll give it back to him right now. Terrified, Master Alara quickly pulled Aiden into her arms. Aiden, what nonsense are you talking about? I said the bone is yours, and it's yours. No one can take it away. At that moment, I secretly activated my energy and tried to detonate the bone, but the golden aegis of fate still clung to Aiden, preventing a full explosion. However, the spiritual energy inside the fake bone went haywire, rampaging through his body and causing significant internal injuries. He cried out and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Ding! Son of Destiny's fate value -15,000. Remaining fate value 5,000. Host's villain value +15,000. Master Alara and Lila were horrified. They rushed to check on Aiden's condition. When Alara sensed that the sovereign bone and his energy channels were riddled with cracks, her expression grew grave. She didn't suspect me. She assumed it was from Marcus Kane's final palm strike. Without another glance in my direction, they hurried away to heal Aiden. A month later, news spread through the sect that Aiden and Master Alara were to be joined as bonded partners. I wasn't surprised at all. Even though Aiden had already castrated himself, that was never his true goal. Aiden was the 9th son of the Demon King. In a struggle for the throne, he was the least favored, being merely an illegitimate child. His mother died when he was born, leaving him with no external support and pathetically few resources. Out of desperation, he took the long shot, risking everything to infiltrate the Celestial Balance sect. By doing so, he could not only seize cultivation resources, but also achieve a great victory for his people. In the original novel, after orchestrating the original Caleb's death, he used his wedding to the sect master to activate a massive teleportation array. The demonic army descended from the sky. The unprepared Celestial Balance sect, the strongest in the land, was wiped out in a single stroke. Aiden's contribution was immense. Coupled with his sovereign bone and the sect's inheritance, his rise was meteoric. He ultimately seized the throne as the new Demon King, unifying both the mortal and demonic realms. During this time, I had used my 40,000 villain value points to purchase supreme-grade immortal pills from the system store. I successfully broke through to the peak of the transcendent stage. With my Chaos Tao physique, my own sovereign bone, the Celestial Balance Emperor's legacy, and the Chaos Divine Sword, I felt I could take on an immortal. Since Aiden was so keen on destroying the sect, I was more than happy to give him a helping hand. The bitter fruit my master had sown, she would have to taste for herself. With the wedding approaching, the entire sect was buzzing with festive energy. Aiden, however, came to my enclave to gloat. The weakness was gone from his eyes, replaced by pure, smug provocation. First disciple, the master has already agreed to become my bonded partner, and Sister Lila follows me around all day. Do you think they truly love me? All the other disciples say the master and Lila always treated you the best. They thought one of them would marry you. Why do you think they both want to be with me now? You're so pathetic, first disciple. I wasn't angered by his taunts. I simply smiled. Junior brother, you saw with your own eyes what happened between me and the master. And I might as well tell you, the only reason you have that sovereign bone is because your dear sister Lila traded her body for it. In the end, they're both just my leftovers. Since you enjoy picking up other people's cast-offs so much, as your senior, why wouldn't I indulge you? The smug look on Aiden's face froze, and a storm of rage began to brew in his eyes. You're lying, he shrieked, but his voice trembled. I toyed with the echo crystal in my hand. Junior brother, I have a recording of my little session with your dear Lila. Would you like me to play for you? On that night, she was very proactive. Aiden's eyes turned bloodshot, his face twisting in a grotesque mask of fury. His right hand gripped his sword hilt so tightly his knuckles turned white. Caleb, you're dead. He was locked in place by my aura. He tried to draw his sword but couldn't even budge it. He was both shocked and enraged. I stepped closer, whispering mockingly in his ear. Junior brother, didn't you have to cut away a certain part of yourself to practice the blade of sacrifice? Even if I gave him both to you, what good would it do? Aiden's pupil shrank. He stared at me, his entire body shaking uncontrollably. Ding. Son of Destiny's fate value dash 5000. Remaining fate value 0. Host villain value plus 5000. That, apart from his true identity, was his greatest secret. He couldn't understand how I could possibly know. Hearing the system's notification, I knew I had finally stripped him of all his luck. But I wasn't in a hurry to kill him. I'd leave my blind and foolish master and fiancée for him to educate. Just then, Master Alara stepped into my courtyard. Her face was terrifyingly dark. She looked at me, and for a moment, a flicker of nostalgia crossed her face. Finally, she turned to Aiden. Aiden, you go back first. I have something to say to your senior. After Aiden left, she sat down. Her expression seemed lost in memory. After a long silence, she spoke. Caleb, I know you have relied on me since you were a child. 3 years ago, I was ambushed by the Abyss-sworn and grievously poisoned. You risked your life, venturing into the Valley of Death to find a spirit herb that saved me. I knew you and Lila cared for each other, so I suppressed my own feelings and arranged your betrothal. I also saw that you had Aiden locked down with your power just now. This time, I can let it go, but this is the last time. Aiden has suffered too much over the years. If you dare to move against him again, don't blame me for being merciless. I will kill you. Having said her piece, she turned to leave without another look at me. Just as she was about to exit the courtyard, she glanced back. I want you to prepare for my wedding with Aiden. Do not disappoint me again. My face was impassive. I bowed. Yes, master. Only then did she leave, seemingly satisfied. The wedding proceeded as planned, and I arranged everything perfectly. In the book, when the master was about to kill the original Caleb, not a single person in the sect pleaded for him. They all said he deserved it. This wedding was their final celebration. As the ceremony was about to begin, Aiden, as expected, had an accident. The method was almost identical to the book. An acolyte came running, frantic. Master, something terrible has happened. Aiden was attacked by an assassin and has fallen into a coma. The thousands of sect members were stunned. Master Alara's face went white with fear as she rushed into Aiden's room. She found him with his right hand blackened, demonic energy coiling around his entire body. She quickly forced a supreme-grade pill down his throat. Only then did he seem to improve, slowly waking up. Alara gritted her teeth. Aiden, tell me, who did this to you? I want them dead. Aiden's gaze swept across the crowd. When he saw me, he began to tremble in fear. His eyes were filled with terror as he shrank into Alara's embrace. Just then, the acolyte who had delivered the message dropped to his knees with a thud and cried out. It was the first disciple. Aiden just picked up the jade scepter, and a demonic energy invaded his body. All the wedding items were prepared by the first disciple. Who else could it be? In this continent's wedding ceremonies, after bowing to heaven and earth, the groom must personally hand the jade scepter to the bride to complete the ritual. And I had indeed prepared it. At his words, all eyes turned to me, filled with anger and condemnation. I can't believe the first disciple is that kind of person. Aiden is so kind. How could he do it? Could the first disciple have fallen to the demons? It's a crime of passion. It's not impossible. Lila shot to her feet, her finger trembling as she pointed at me, murder flashing in her eyes. Caleb, how could you be so vile? Aiden spoke in a soft, weak voice. Please don't blame him. It was all my fault. I'm sure he didn't mean to do it. Master Alara slowly rose, her eyes fixed on me, blazing with killing intent. Caleb, what do you have to say for yourself now? Didn't I warn you? If you dared to touch Aiden again, I would kill you. Don't blame me for this, Caleb. You brought this upon yourself. The full power of her mid-transcendent stage cultivation erupted. Her long black hair floated around her, as if weightless. The immense pressure forced all the disciples to retreat again and again. The sky darkened and thunder rumbled. At that moment, everyone in the Celestial Balance sect was gathered on the main peak. I could already sense the 9 teleportation arrays on the sub-peaks activating. The demonic army was clearly beginning to assemble. I was done pretending. Just as my master unleashed an attack with the force of a natural disaster, hurtling toward me, I spat out 2 words, dripping with mockery. You fool. My voice wasn't loud, but every disciple present heard it. Master Alara was incandescent with rage. She bit her lip, and the Phoenix Saint's sword in her hand erupted with a pillar of flame aimed straight for my heart. My Chaos Divine sword appeared in my hand instantly. With a simple, almost casual flick. Boom! The entire world shook. With a sharp crack, the Phoenix Saint sword was shattered in 2. My figure vanished, and when I reappeared, my hand was wrapped tightly around my master's throat. "Fool," I whispered. "You, a mere mid-transcendent, dare to try and kill me?" The entire crowd was stunned. No one could have predicted this outcome. A dead silence fell over the plaza, followed by a tidal wave of shocked gasps. Our master, at the mid-transcendent stage. She couldn't even take a single blow from him. How is that possible? What is the first disciple's cultivation level now? Everyone stared in terror at their master, held helpless in my grasp. Her face was a mask of disbelief. You hid your cultivation?" Alara choked out. "Impossible. How can you be this strong?" I leaned in close to her ear and laughed softly. "Master, allow your disciple to show you a little play." Seeing the tables had turned, Aiden tried to flee, but I snatched him through the air with my power. Before the horrified eyes of the entire sect, I disintegrated his clothes. Now, thousands of people could see. Their beloved junior lacked the essential equipment of a man. I threw my head back and laughed. "Look, master. Just look. This is the man you were so eager to marry. He isn't even a man at all. Ha ha, this is priceless." An explosion of shock and disgust rocked the crowd. Aiden's naked body trembled violently under the gaze of the entire sect. His mutilated groin was impossible to hide. He let out a hysterical scream. His eyes filled with a humiliation so profound he looked ready to tear me apart with his bare hands. Caleb, damn you. Let me go." I released my master, letting her collapse to the ground in a broken heap. My dear fiancée, Lila, fell beside her, her mind a complete blank, muttering over and over. "How could this be? How? Did everyone get a good look?" I scanned the crowd. "This is the precious junior you all coddled. This eunuch was about to become your master consort. Ha ha." Shame and fury overwhelmed Alara. The immense humiliation was too much to bear. She coughed violently, spitting up a mouthful of blood. Aiden's face was a mask of pure hate. He struggled against my hold, but couldn't break free. Demonic runes swiftly spread across his skin. A pillar of demonic energy erupted from his body, blackening half the sky. "Demons, Aiden is one of the Abyss sworn," an elder cried out in horror. The crowd erupted again. "Gods, Aiden is a demon." The master and Lila treated a demon like a treasure. How could he be a demon? Aiden laughed maniacally. "Ha ha ha, you pathetic fools. Played like fiddles by a single demon. Now you can all die." As he spoke, pillars of light shot up from the 9 sub-peaks. Countless demonic figures poured through the teleportation gates like a tide. The Celestial Balance sect was plunged into chaos. The demonic army swarmed in from all sides. The air filled with their roars and the clang of battle. The disciples, completely unprepared, were swallowed by the demonic horde the moment they drew their swords. Agonized screams tore through the sky. The thick stench of blood filled the entire sect. "The sect's defensive array has failed. What's going on?" The Grand Elder roared in rage and confusion. Aiden, though still shrouded in demonic energy and held in my grip, was beyond reason. He screamed with deranged glee. "Ha ha ha, you idiots! I sabotaged the primary array a month ago. I may not live, but your entire sect is coming with me." The Grand Elder, a transcendent stage master, fought desperately, but had his arm sliced off by the Demon King. Clutching his stump, he screamed at Alara. "Alara, you brought him here. Look what you've done. 5,000 years of history, destroyed in a single day. You will be condemned for millennia." The few surviving disciples stared at Alara with pure, unadulterated hatred. Hearing these words, seeing the venom in her disciples' eyes as they died, Alara's body trembled, her face ashen. She gazed out at the river of blood that was once her home, and another spray of blood erupted from her lips. She couldn't accept it. Not only was Aiden not a man, he was a vile demonic spy, and she, the master of the sect, had almost married him. For a despicable demon, she had nearly killed Caleb, once her most beloved disciple. And in doing so, she had doomed them all. She was a sinner for the ages. In that moment, Alara's regret was a physical poison, consuming her from the inside out. Lila was equally broken. Her entire world had shattered. Damn you, Aiden. You damn demonic spy." Alara wiped the blood from her lips. With a sudden burst of strength, she fought like a woman possessed, her broken sword a whirlwind of death and dismemberment. She was drenched in blood, a mad goddess of vengeance, venting all her regret upon the enemy. Lila also picked up a sword and followed her master into the fray. Of course, I wasn't going to let them die so easily. The other disciples and elders were long gone, devoured by the horde. I stood alone, chaos divine sword in hand, and unleashed my full power. An ocean of sword intent exploded from me. Every flower, every blade of grass, transformed into 1,000 flying swords. In less than an hour, every last demon was dead. Even the demon king was obliterated into countless fragments by a single swing of my sword. The entire celestial balance sect was a field of corpses. Rivers of blood carved paths through the carnage. Besides the three of us, nothing lived. Only the night wind howled through the mountain gate, a hellish whisper on the mortal plane. I walked with my blood-soaked sword, step by step, toward my battle-scarred master and fiancée. Look, I said softly, look at the price of your affection for your little junior. A sect thousands of years old, destroyed. All because of you. Alara sat slumped amidst a mountain of corpses. Her festive red wedding dress was stained a deeper, wetter crimson. I'm sorry. She looked up, her eyes empty voids of despair. Caleb, it was all my fault. I deserved to die. I swung my sword, and her legs flew from her body. Ah! Alara's scream was inhuman, a sound of pure agony as blood gushed from her wounds. Alara, if I hadn't risked my life to find that spirit herb for you, you would have died years ago, I said calmly. And yet, you were going to kill me for a wretched demon? Her face was twisted with pain, her eyes overflowing with regret. Caleb, I was wrong. I was so wrong. Just kill me. Please, give me a quick death. I swung my sword again, severing both of her arms. A quick death? Alara, all these lives were lost because of your stupidity. You think you deserve a quick death. Seeing her master's horrific state, Lila was scared out of her mind. She scrambled forward and grabbed my leg. Caleb, it was Aiden. That demon tricked us. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please forgive me, please. Caleb, don't kill me. I'll marry you now. I'll never betray you again. I kicked her away and severed her legs with a single stroke. Forgive you? You think you're worthy of my forgiveness? If I hadn't saved you, you would have been beaten to death in an alley as a beggar, and you want to dig out my sovereign bone for your dear junior. Lila wailed in a pool of her own blood. The bleeding from her stumps was torrential. She struggled to crawl toward me, dragging 2 deep, crimson streaks across the ground. Caleb, I was wrong. I'm your fiancé. Beside her, Alara began to laugh, a shrill, broken sound. Karma. This is all karma. She writhed on the ground, looking at the ruins of her home, laughing one moment and sobbing the next. She had gone completely insane. A flash of my sword, and I severed Lila's arms. I then pierced both of their cores, shattering their cultivation. Now, they were utterly, completely helpless. They could never have imagined that their doting on Aiden would lead to this. But now, no matter how much they repented, it was too late. Their faces were identical masks of regret and despair. Pain. Watching them twitch in the blood-soaked dirt, I spoke softly. Don't worry. I won't let you 2 worthless bitches die so easily. I took out 2 supreme-grade, life-extending pills and forced them into their mouths. Seeing that they were stable and wouldn't die, I turned and walked toward the mountain gate. Live well, and spend the rest of your miserable lives repenting. As I stepped out of the sect, the sun was slowly rising in the east. 1,000 golden rays spread across the corpse-strewn mountain, creating a strangely beautiful, macabre scene. The system's tone suddenly sounded in my mind. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing the hidden revenge mission. Cultivation Realm +1. Congratulations, host, on reaching the Immortal Realm. Reward: 10,000 each of supreme-grade pills, weapons, and techniques. 100 each of immortal-grade pills, weapons, and techniques. Next mission, found the Elysian sect. Recruit 99 supreme-grade female disciples. Well, damn. Looks like they want me to be the founding patriarch of a pleasure sect. Awesome. A new day had begun, and my journey to immortality had just started.